Happy Saturday, you guys. It's a rainy Saturday here. I hope it's bright sunshine wherever you are and you're enjoying your Saturday afternoon. This should be a very interesting conversation. So come on into the room, okay? Shout out to Tracy. Come on into the room, you guys. This is Relationship Chronicles. We'll be talking to a young lady that has a very interesting story to tell us. So let's do a 30-second countdown and get to it, shall we?
I want you to stand up tall and proud. I want you to speak up clear and loud. Brown baby.
Thank you guys so much for joining us again. Happy Saturday to everybody who's entered the room. Hey, W. Jackson. Hey, Vibrant Low. Thank you guys for being here. And everybody who's watching in the Sky Box. Well, as mentioned before, we have a very special guest today on Relationship Chronicles. This young lady will be discussing the trials, the tribulations, the turbulent relationship that she went through in regards to meeting a man that she married. And just, I don't want to give away too much, so let's just introduce our guest and then we'll start the interview there. Okay, 1 second, let me bring her up. Beretta Jane, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Let me be very transparent with the audience. Beretta Jane and myself have known each other virtually for, I don't know, 7 years perhaps?
Yeah, 6 or 7 years. Yep.
6 or 7 years. We talked every day of those 6 or 7 years for about 5 years. Uh,
Yep.
so that's another show of how you can get to know people virtually. I told my audience on one of my first shows that I had a pretty decent presence on Facebook for a lot of years, and that is where Beretta Jane and I myself met. And again, like she's had several groups on Facebook. I've had several groups on Facebook, and we crossed paths and we're quite fond of each other. And again, we spoke almost every day for years and
Mhm.
years and years. My presence on Facebook is not as prevalent as it used to be. I kind of gave up Facebook for YouTube, probably around COVID or so. And what about you, Beretta? Are you still on Facebook? I don't think you are as much as we used to be.
I am on it because I've started taking some classes because COVID and have you thinking about how do I really want to live my life. So I started taking some classes. So I'm not on it as much. But I'm still on there like every day, just not as
Mm-hmm.
long.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How are we getting any work done? How are we,
And well, I check in because I have a support group. So I
Uh-huh.
check in over there in case anyone wants to, talk about whatever they're experiencing and stuff like that. And I just feel like it's my obligation to babysit my groups. And one,
It
I can post
is.
stuff that
It
I don't
is.
want my church folks to see. So, you got to do that every now and again.
That's right. That's right. You absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you definitely, when you have that type of support group, you definitely have to check in with them. So I just wanted to give people, hey, everybody coming into the room. Hey, D Dot. Hey, Miss T Velocity. I just wanted to give them a background on why we will be talking as familiar as we will be, because yeah, we're not new to this. We're true to this. And so this is actually just going to be like a conversation between two girlfriends because that's what we are. I will give a little bit of backstory. When I met Beretta, I probably could sense that something was going on, but I did not know this story, you guys. I did not know this story. I reached out to Beretta, told her, hey, I'm on YouTube. Nobody knew I was on YouTube either. I kept both of those platforms very separate. Um, as I do all my platforms. So I have other presences on other platforms, but I just keep everything separate. And I said, hey, I'm on YouTube and this is what I'm doing. And would you like to come on to discuss anything? Because Beretta is just a conversationalist like myself. So I didn't know what she was going to say she wanted to talk about. And then she dropped the mother of all mother bombs on me and said, yeah, I may want to discuss a previous relationship. So, what I would like to do is, I don't want to interrupt you too much, but I definitely want to guide. I would like to start out with, we're talking about an ex marriage, correct?
Yes.
Oh gosh, y'all already hear the tense in their voice. Okay, we're talking about an ex marriage. So, what I would like to do is talk about how you guys met and why you were so immediately connected with that person before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes.
Girl, okay. I was in a grocery store in the
Hmm.
line, and I used to say for years, oh, everybody's meeting online, and I've done the meeting a guy that I met online and it not working out. So I was like, the next time I meet a man, I'm gonna have to see him in person because at least I can get maybe a vibe on what I'm dealing with or whatever. I'm gonna meet him in the grocery store line. Be careful what you say because words can come true. So I was in the grocery store.
Manifestation is real. Manifestation
Yes,
is real.
manifest
Hmm.
the right stuff, okay? So he was in the line, and if you look at him, oh, he looks like such a nice guy. And he spoke to me and gave me direct eye contact. I'm like, oh, he got balls too with his little short self. But he was cute. And I was like, oh, he look like he got good hair. Let me don't dismiss me. I was
Okay.
just being funny in my mind. I joke
Right,
around. I
right.
love all of our hair. Okay, that's how diverse
We
we are.
just, I listen, I just gave
Okay.
the disclaimer. This is two girlfriends talking. We are
Yes.
not, she is just saying he got, yeah, that is funny because that is what you, girl, he got some good hair.
He
Right.
started,
Okay.
assessing, like, oh, okay, man. So anyway, so he gave me his name and he just, I mean, appearances. I was attracted to like the preppy look he had. He had a crease in his little shorts he had on. I said, oh, he ironed his clothes. He looked like he might be all right. So I gave him a chance. And I wish I never did.
Well, but you did. So let's talk about you gave him a chance. So you met in the grocery store, just a chance meeting
Mm,
that you had asked the universe for, i.e., the
mm,
Holy Spirit, i.e., the blood of
mm,
Jesus. If I could just find
mm.
somebody in person, because I'm so sick and tired of trying to date online, because I will give them a backstory. Mostly all the groups that we were in
Mm-hmm.
were 50% heterosexual males.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't like, generally speaking, there's a sector that I came from that you don't know anything about. It's about 90% women and the other 10%, maybe 8%, gay
Ooh,
men and maybe 2% heterosexual. So the chances
yeah.
of chance encounters are rare. So I just wanted to let them know that the groups that we were
Mm-hmm.
in, They were very lively, vibrant groups, and you could have. I think
Were
my
they?
group had 500 people, and I don't know how many group, but there were groups that we were in daily that had 20,000 members.
Okay.
But
Yep.
yeah, but there was 10,000 heterosexual, men in that group if there was 20,000, and we all communicated every day. So I'm saying that to say that it was
Hmm.
very likely. We know people who have gotten married from those groups. We know people
Uh-huh.
who have had deep relationships, and we know people who casually dated. That was very
Yep.
normal for that group, but it came with, I don't want to say consequences per se, but it had become tiring trying to meet men in that way. Hello,
Hmm.
everybody, coming into the room. So you meet this guy at the grocery store. He's a little shorter than you would like, but everything else every
He was
we
my
love a
height. That's short to me because I'm 5'7" and I like guys
that's
that are
short.
taller. But
Yeah, that's
I
short.
was
I'm
like,
five
that's
seven, five
okay,
eight. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay, so you
yeah.
meet. Tell us about the first date.
Well, the first date, we went to the river,
Hmm.
walked. I said, "Oh, this is his idea. He got a little class." I'm so shallow. Anyway, we walked and talked, and he lived in New Orleans at the time, and he
Hmm.
was visiting his parents in a city I won't mention. And
Okay.
he was telling me he started off, which should have been my red flag, but I didn't know a lot then, like I know now. He started off telling me how his mother was on her sick bed, and he would come out there, to check on his dad and his mother and stuff like that. So I was already endeared from you know, his tragedy he was experiencing at the time, um, and then I was just telling him, that I was there. I told him some of the issues that I was dealing with when I moved there, um, and what I was having going on. We just had, I guess, something in common, it seemed. But,
Hmm.
sometimes you'll talk to yourself about what you would want in a relationship, and then that person appears to be what you want them to be or what you think you want. And I think I was
Hmm.
just too dang over eager. So anything at that point that he was saying, especially after he started off with his tragic situation with his
Hmm.
mom and things like that, then I was just kind of like putty in his hands.
Okay, but I mean, and I know we want to get there, but I want to know what got you to that point. So he's
Well,
there was some trauma bonding. There
yeah.
was some like-mindedness.
Mm.
We all, well, to a certain degree, well, at least there appeared to be some like-mindedness.
Well, this is what got me. Like,
Okay.
he gave me his name, and when I went back to work, one of my coworkers knew him or thought she knew him, and she
Mhm.
was like so surprised that I was talking to him because apparently he was really popular in high school, and he was I don't know, he played one of them instruments in the band or whatever, and he was really popular. And she was telling me how what a good family he came from, so that didn't help. So she was like, "Oh, he comes from a good family. Oh, you so lucky to have met him. He's so nice. He's so kind, and the girls like him, and he was a gentleman, and all the good stuff." So I'm figuring now I know her because even though we work together, we really established a bond,
Mhm.
and she's a nurse, and all this type of stuff. And so I just kind of
Mhm.
was like, well, shoot, if she got all these great things to say about him, that helped. That made me let my guard down. I'm
Because
not
that's
blaming
what we
her because she
say.
she was
That
talking about what she knew,
what she
right?
knew, and that's what we say.
Mm-hmm.
Can people meet people uh through, acquaintances, or can you, is that even available nowadays? Because so many people don't have, once you get to a certain threshold, and by threshold I mean age, and we will not be mentioning anything remotely
No, we ain't.
close to age. Okay, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, Beretta. Okay, so but once you get to a certain age, you do the whole meeting friends from friends kind of leaves you after college. People are
Yeah.
living in different states, different cities.
Mm-hmm.
People, it's very rare. So he has a lot going
Yeah.
for him. He's open, he's transparent, he's opening up about
Mm-hmm.
a tragedy, a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
He appears to be a kind, thoughtful man. He takes first
Yeah.
dates are very, very important. He takes you on a good
Mm-hmm.
first date. You go back to work. The girls sign off on him. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, my
So
goodness.
that really
Okay.
helped me relax even more. And I'm like, well, shoot, I'm just gonna trust because I know she good folks. I know she have a strong family, a good husband, solid background. Even the little stuff that she volunteered to me about her life and everything, I felt, oh, okay, well, shoot, I don't really have to do that much digging around because if she vouching for him like that, he gotta be all that, right, girl?
Mm-hmm.
Bye. See, you got
Okay.
to realize just because you meet somebody don't mean you know them. Just
Mm,
because you see somebody don't mean you know what they really got going on in their house or in their mind. So I
period.
don't even see. After my experience with this dude, I no longer I have trust issues.
Well, of course you
I
would.
have
So let's
serious
get in.
trust issues.
Well, I want to welcome everybody that's coming into the room. Thank you guys so much. We are talking with Loretta Jane, a good friend of mine, a virtual friend of more than 7 years. And this is Relationship Chronicles. I married a peeping Tom. So we're going to get it. We're going to get into it, girl. We're going to get into it. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about, I guess, the proposal, how how long did you
Okay.
guys date? That kind of stuff.
This is what really did me. And we actually see that's another thing. My silly behind. I jumped too soon. So let's put it this way. I blame myself
Hmm.
mainly because I allowed myself to rush. Don't rush. Take your time. But what
Hmm.
happened was I was a single mom and I had this vehicle that broke down. And it was going good at first, and then my car broke down. And at that time, I had just started a new job. You know how stuff can go. And so he just happened to call. We spoke like every day. And he called me and was like, what's going on with you? And I was just checking on you. And someone told me, don't tell him about your car. You're going to figure it out. But I told him. And like I told y'all, he lived in New Orleans. He drove 5 hours. New Orleans is 5 hours away from me. He drove all the way from there, came there, and fixed my car for me.
Now
I was like, oh my God, that's a real man. I don't know no man that'll do something like that. He must really be into me. But he came in all the way down there and he went and bought the parts and he fixed some parts himself. And then he had a friend that he knew do the rest and whatever. Now the car only lasted a little bit after that, but it was the idea of him driving that far to come and make sure I was okay that really got me. I'm like, well, dang, it felt good being taken care of because I'm a strong woman. I do a lot. I was doing
hmm
a lot of things myself, but it was nice to
hmm
have that load off and have somebody else take on that burden just for a moment. That's what did it.
absolutely, absolutely.
I'm
That would
like,
have
oh,
done
his
it for
parents
me.
raised him good. What you say?
I said, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't want to say that would have done it for me, but that would have been some real thick icing on the cake. Yeah.
Okay. So I was like, oh, he got to be a good person then because it was the effort that he was showing that really attracted me. Was I wrong?
Okay, so take us after that. What happens after he drives 5 hours? He
Mm-hmm.
fixes the car, he pays for the parts, he takes the load off. For a single mother,
Mm-hmm.
that should be on a t-shirt. Anybody who makes t-shirts out there, baby,
Okay.
you trying to well, he takes the load off. So take us from there.
Mm.
Then what happens after that? Because now
Well,
you're saying, I'm in, I'm all in now. This is my man, I'm your girl, I'm in.
yeah, I'm like, okay,
Okay?
well, shoot, this is my man, right? So then he stays the night, goes home, and he calls me the next day and like, look, you my wife. I just know it. I just know it. He mentioned the qualities in me that he felt that, he was looking for in a woman and all this other type of stuff. I'm like, oh, he sees me as a wife. Girl. And he asked me if I would be his wife. And I said, wow, that's kind of sudden, but okay. And I actually said yes like a dummy.
Okay, wait.
And
How long had you guys known each other at this point?
3 months and some change, girl, that ain't long enough. You do
Okay,
not know
okay.
nobody in no 3 months, not even 6 months. But anyway,
Not
so
even a
it had
year,
only
but
been
go
like
ahead. Hmm.
almost 4 months.
Okay,
So then we went and got married in April because we met at the
okay,
beginning of the year. So in
okay.
April, the middle of April, we got married, and yeah. Beautiful little ring he gave me. I said little. Beautiful little ring.
I want to say, did we see the ring?
He showed me when he drove back up to New Orleans so we could go down and do the paperwork and get
I'm
married. I
saying,
saw the
did you
ring.
show us the ring on Facebook?
I got a picture of that ring somewhere on Facebook.
I
Mm-mm.
think so. Okay.
I sure did. I had a picture of that ring on
I
Facebook
think
because I got
so.
my
Yeah.
nails done and I was
Uh-huh.
wearing the ring, but that was before I got divorced. So
Right. Well,
yeah,
don't tell the people the end of the movie, child. But anyway, okay.
girl, I'm not. I'm trying to wait for you to ask me the right stuff.
And let me tell them, I do not know a lot of this story. I am going to be learning I know probably 25% of this story, you guys. I'm going to be learning the other
Hmm.
75 with you guys because Beretta kept getting not upset, but in a funny, kiki way, upset because I said, no, don't tell me nothing else. I want to hear it live so I can respond accordingly because otherwise it's just going to lead to so many other questions. Okay, you
And I'm
guys
gonna let
get
y'all know this is my first time really talking about it like this. So it's not something I choose to even really reflect on. But I mean, this is gonna be y'all first time and my first time really talking about it like this. So
And I don't know if you
enjoy,
can
I
see the.
guess.
I don't know if you can. Well, you're doing it for I don't want to say it's entertainment, but it is entertainment because I can be real with you. People do like salacious stories, you know that. However, we know that by sharing some of ourselves and being transparent, we can inadvertently help somebody. So we do know that too because we have
That's
been.
why I don't mind talking about it. I think that if we all had a lot of stuff that we have gone through, you're hurting the person that may be going through something similar because you need to show how resilient you are by sharing that. And I ain't saying go around telling your business to everybody because I don't do that. But
No, man, we
if
don't
you
do
are
that.
not forthcoming with stuff that you have gone through, how are you going to help the next person? You could possibly share something with that person that can help them avoid the stuff that you went through. You just don't know. So I think it's okay to talk about it. I'm not there anymore. My life is not where it was. And Lord knows it taught me a whole lot. So it's okay. I wouldn't have been able to do this not even 5 years ago. But today,
Hallelujah. That's right. And I want to welcome everybody that's coming into the room. We're speaking to Beretta Jane about one of her past relationships. Like she just said, this is her first time really sharing it publicly. This is a really cool crowd. They will be extremely respectful and understand exactly why you chosen to be transparent. And they will take it for the jewel that you are. Take you for the jewel that you are and take the story. I just saw Jewel Rogers' name. That's so funny. Take you for the jewel that you are and take this story for the transparency and the way that you're giving it. They'll definitely this is a kind crowd. So
yeah.
yeah. So okay. So you guys get married. I'm assuming
Hmm.
that him and your son get along decently well. Okay.
That was the other red flag I failed to pay attention to. He did not really, he didn't give my son hardly any attention. But see, that's why you can't rush in. You got to pay attention to that type of stuff. My son wanted to have some type of a relationship with his stepdad. He was thinking, oh, maybe he'll take me to the park and we can play hoops or whatever. He was what, 11, 12 at that time.
Mhm.
So he was thinking, oh, well, maybe this man will come in and teach me how to be a man and all this
Mhm.
other type of stuff. And he didn't spend hardly any time with my son. As a matter of fact, looking back on it now, he didn't even like my son.
He
So
was
my
he was
son,
laser focused on you.
yep, he was focused on me, and my son suffered some trauma from this dude.
I'm sorry to
So
hear
I
that.
feel bad about that part because I was hoping that it would actually be something that'll turn into something. So see, that was a situationship. That wasn't a relationship. I was trying to turn shit into sunshine.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I feel
So,
bad about that part.
well, and that, but you and your son have a wonderful relationship, and
Yes, we
parents,
do.
yes, hallelujah, and parents do not have a guidebook, and every single parent
Mm-mm.
out there has made a mistake. And so your son is thriving and vibrant, and it, and prayerfully it was just a blip, on his journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so you guys get married.
Yep.
What is and how long does it take you to start questioning the person that you're sleeping with?
Oh boy. Okay. So we got married, and then that weekend we went to his parents. I met his dad. His dad seemed really, really nice, and um, they stayed in a nice part of town, and I was relieved to see that. And his mother, actually, I couldn't meet her. She was on life support, but they kept her at home. That was so sad. So
Hmm.
didn't get a chance to really know anything about his mother. But I just noticed how strange his demeanor was about his mother. Like
Hmm.
it was
How
I
so?
couldn't care any less type attitude. And I'm like, wow, because it would
Wow.
be detrimental to me. I'm unfortunately right now my mother has stage 4 cancer, and so we're dealing with it's strange to slowly mourn a person and they haven't gone yet. So
And they haven't
every
even
moment
left.
matters to
Mm-hmm.
me. Every little
Uh-huh.
conversation, every little time I can spend with her, which I'm going right there after I finish with y'all. But
Okay.
everything I can do, because Lord, she don't know nothing about no technology, and I'm so tired of her and this smart TV my daughter bought her. I don't know what this damn button is that she pressed, but god dang it, I gotta go back all the way over there and figure out how to fix her
Figure it
TV.
out.
But anyway,
Right, right.
I
You
swear
know
she
how
just
they
wanted to
do.
come spend some time.
That's
And
right.
I don't mind. But that's not how he was with her. He was
Mm-hmm.
really cold.
Mm.
It was cold, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And to this day, I still don't know what kind of relationship he had with his mother. But
Okay.
if it wasn't nurturing, he did tell me some things later on, like his mother never hugged him. And
Mm-hmm.
y'all better hug y'all children,
You better
especially y'all
hug them.
men. Y'all little boys,
Mm-hmm.
hug them because they need to
Mm-hmm.
know that they're loved. They need to know that, especially in front of you, they can be themselves. We tell them not to show emotion, don't cry, and all this foolishness. And then they take it out and become hellions in the world because they
They
couldn't
sure
show
do.
that to you. You wouldn't allow it. And now they leashing all their hell on everybody else. So it has
Mm-hmm.
to come out somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I
It's a
really
form
think
of
that's what happened
abandonment.
with him.
It's a form of abandonment, and it happens with girls and
Woo!
boys, and yeah, and then you act it out later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so you meet the dad, it for us, I mean, they don't know your background, but for us, it's important that your parents, live a certain way, are a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
because that speaks not only to you, but it also speaks to, I mean, to what you have to look forward to because we
Mm-hmm.
are marrying into the family. So, we're not
Yeah.
interested in marrying into a family that we're going to have to, you know, support them other than, mentally and emotionally, or that we're going
Mm-hmm.
to have a whole lot of issues with them. So okay, so all of these things are going on. This is the day after you guys are married. Then take us a little
Yeah.
bit further into the relationship. And welcome to
All
everybody
right.
coming into the room.
So basically, he was like, I don't want to stay here. I want you guys to move back with me to New Orleans. I'm all excited because we were living in a little small town. There was nothing to do there. Now I kind of miss that little town. But anyway, that's usually how that goes. So we packed up and we moved to New Orleans. Okay. I had a cute little apartment because the one that he got it was really nice and it wasn't too far from anything really. And so uh, my car, it broke down, so I couldn't bring it with me when we moved. So when we got there, my son and I didn't have any transportation. The husband worked 2 jobs. And so, like, if he had to go to one job, he'll let me keep his car for a moment. But I started to not like driving his car because he would blame me for things that I didn't even do. Or I'm sure that was way before me. You drive this car. I really just met you. But he would just blame me for everything. And I started noticing he don't take fault in anything that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. And I never had anybody mess with my head mentally until I met him. And I deem myself as somebody who I suffer from low self esteem growing up because I didn't have the ideal childhood that I wish I had, and I've been through a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff. But I also I made it through it, and I felt
Mm-hmm.
I had pretty high self esteem, but I didn't really, anyway, I just never had anybody be abusive with me. So it would be little things like, you
Mm-hmm.
served your son a plate before me. And I'm like, he's
Mm-hmm.
my child. Of course I'm going to feed him. But it doesn't mean that I'm not feeding you too. You just came out the room last. Here's your
Mm-hmm.
plate right here too. Just grab it. So
Mm-hmm.
then
Argument out of everything.
yeah. And then, oh, you don't wash dishes. I knew you would contaminate the water. What are you talking about? Contaminate the water? What are you talking about? Well, you put this dish in there. And so now the whole dishwater is contaminated. So you need to wash that again. Wait a minute. You don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to do anything right. I'm like, first of all, I
Mm-hmm.
wake up, I give you 3 square meals a day. I don't know many women that do that nowadays. Breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
lunch, dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and if I don't know something, I'm not going up in the kitchen acting like I'm Big Mama. I don't know how to do everything. I'm not the greatest cook, but we survive, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I do the best that I can, and if you think I could do it differently, just tell me how I could do it differently, or how
Oh,
you
hold
would
on.
prefer it, or
Hold
something.
on. Oh, Lord. I don't know what that is that some people are not able to communicate properly. It's okay if I don't know how to do something and you
Mm-hmm.
either show me how to do it or you tell me how to do it better. But to
Yeah.
dig at me and to belittle me, to be
Mm.
condescending, that
Mm.
doesn't help anything. I'm like, what are
Mm-mm.
you doing? How do you think that that's effective communication? So,
And
but it's
what?
a difference
Yeah.
between, so how do you go from, this is something that we could possibly work on the communication to this person is
Mm.
just going to be a person that's going to beat you over the head over every little thing. So,
Every little thing.
mhm,
Yep. Then he tried to make me feel bad because I'm particular. And I say that because I'm not just someone who carries herself any old kind of way. I'm not gonna step out of the house looking any old kind of way because I represent my family and my background and my ancestors, and you're not gonna catch me outside looking any old kind of way, even if it's just to throw the trash out or go to my car right quick and go back in the house. I'm gonna slip on something and look somewhat decent no matter what. And I do the same thing when it comes to my job. So
yes.
he had this one job that was pretty, it was okay. And then he had a part-time job at like a small little convenience store, didn't pay no money. But I mean, if that's what he felt that he could do and that was good enough for him, I mean, who am I to tell him that's not a good enough job for you? It's just not something I would do. So they were hiring at the little convenience store. And I was like, because when I moved to New Orleans, I left my job at the hospital, and so I didn't have any employment at that moment. But I really didn't think it was going to take that long to get employed. And
Mhm.
but I was particular because what's the point of taking a job that only pays $7.25 an hour? What in the world is that going to take care of? How can I build off of pennies? I can't. So I was waiting
Cannot.
for the job that I knew that would actually work much better for us. And what was wrong with that? He had 2 jobs. And I still was bringing in some form of income monthly, so I had my half of the rent. You know what I mean? So, but he told me I was too bougie. What? I'm not bougie. I'm
Hold up.
particular and I'm
Hold,
sensible in my decisions.
hold up. Hold up. You say, yo, what of the rent?
Half, yes, he better than me, but he needed my half of the rent in order to make it every month. And I remember throwing that back in his face because right before I left him, he kept asking me, "Oh, you got your half of the rent?" I said, "Oh, the half of the rent. I thought my part, the part that I contribute, ain't nothing. But now you looking for my half of the rent again?" And I went on and dropped my half of the rent in the box, at the office, at the apartments. And I knew he didn't have, for some reason, because he had been acting real funny towards the end, which I eventually will get to that. But I went on and dropped it in there. So if anything, they could say he had half his rent, but not all. And I left. I had to leave.
Wait, you took us fast. What happened? What? How
Yeah.
long? What's the
Anyway,
timeline here?
6 months.
So all of it, he's digging at you, he's belittling you, he's being
Yep.
condescending, which actually
Yep.
translates to grooming. We know that from all of our
Mm-hmm.
our our, our groups
Now I
on
do. I didn't know
Facebook.
what this was because I had never experienced it before.
Well, me and Sugar did whole exposés on this, 5 and 6 years
I
ago
bet
on
y'all
how,
did.
you know what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Sugar, that's a mutual friend, you guys. But so he was basically grooming you,
I guess he
it
was.
yeah, yeah, that's what it appears to be. Because when somebody
Mm-hmm.
starts picking at you, with a pick and a hammer, tick, 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 they're trying to mold you. They're grooming you. So
Mm-hmm.
you get married in 3 months of 4 months of knowing each other. Then
Mm.
another 6 months after you move to New
Of
Orleans, you
hell.
say, of hell, you say, oh hell no. I mean, and I see people in the chat saying that they like the dishwater like this, and they like, well, then do it yourself. That's what I say, because what you're
Mm.
not
Oh,
going to
that's what I
do,
did.
yeah, because
But
what
even
you're
though I
not
had a
going to do,
comeback, yeah, even though I had
hmm
a comeback for everything he threw at me, it felt bad. I felt bad. And I didn't realize how much it was wearing me down
hmm
until, like, even today. I could be going about doing something and little things will make me flash back to something mean he said to me, and I have to
mm.
shake it off. It's like PTSD or something. I'm like,
Or it's not, or
wow.
something, Beretta. It is PTSD, because that much pressure on a person every day when they're just trying to do the right thing, that's what it's meant for. It is meant
Mm,
to get you at your lowest level, so then you'll take whatever crap that they send your way. So 6 months.
mm-hmm,
And let me finish that other statement. I'm not saying that anybody can't be OCD or they can't like things a particular way, but I feel like you should understand that your way. I had a girlfriend that was yelling at her husband because he wouldn't put the forks upside down in the dishwasher.
mm,
Either just turn the forks, the spoons, and knife, the silverware the way that you like them, or shut the
mm-hmm.
fuck up. Because what I'm not about,
Exactly.
or just shut the fuck up, because I'm not about to discuss putting forks or silverware the right way in the dishwasher. It is
That is
it's
petty.
insane. It's petty. But some people
Mm-hmm.
live in that era of pettiness to the point where they do not even understand how petty it is. So one of my biggest things is, if I was to get in a major accident tomorrow, if I was to die a week from now, would you be thinking about these forks? Because I'm trying
Okay.
to understand what it is that you want. Like, you're trying to beat the other person into submission, which is just a whole.
Mm-hmm.
We can come back, because I feel like you're going to be one of my guests, honey. If it ain't but once every 3 months, we can come back and talk about people beating people into submission. But okay,
Ooh-wee. And it's really
okay,
their insecurities that they're trying to,
yes.
make it seem like it's you when it's really them.
It's really them, because they're so, like, high anxiety written about every single thing, that it just bothers, every little thing bothers them. So let's get on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
now we're looking at 9 months later, because 3 to 4 months of dating, marriage, six
Mm.
months of living with him, it's hell. You
Mm.
know that you're a strong woman. I know, the Beretta, I know, this is very surprising, but not
Mm.
surprising, because I've been in it myself. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
Phew.
different circumstances, but we get
Yep.
it. Okay, so pretty much 9 months later, you drop your so-called half of the rent in the box, like, fuck you,
Mm-hmm.
nigga, and goodbye.
Yep.
Here it is. I don't want nobody saying I didn't pay what I agreed to pay. I'm packing up
Mm-hmm.
me and my baby. We going back home. Okay, take us from there.
Okay. Okay. So when we first moved there, summertime ended. I had to get my son enrolled in school. And so I was having the darndest time getting him enrolled in school, and I couldn't understand why they were giving me such a hard time allowing me to enroll my son. We lived in the neighborhood, that was the school, and they were acting really funny acting with me, and they don't know me from anywhere. So one day I get a phone call because
That's
it had
very
been a week.
perplexing.
Yeah, that was just really strange because why would they act so funny like that? I gave them all his records and everything. And so I get a phone call on a Friday the 12th. And they were like, ma'am, you weren't forthcoming about your son. And I'm like, sir, where are you calling from? I'm with the school board. You weren't supposed to come in with your son. Your husband came down here and said that your son was in some type of reform school. I was like, first of all, my son got into a fight at the school, and so where we came from, they sent him to some type of, school, like when they get not
Mm-hmm.
expelled, but suspended and
Detention or
whatever.
something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was one of them kind of schools. And he
Mm-hmm.
he did his time. He didn't get into any trouble, and they welcomed him back to his school afterwards. We just happened to move away during that summer, and now I needed him to start back school. But they were acting like, oh, like my son was just some horrible kid, and he was gonna come there with the same behaviors. And I know doggone well you cannot discriminate against children. My son did his time or whatever you want to call that. Because he was in jail, but
I
he
know.
did
I'm about to
whatever
say,
it
will
was.
you
And
please
he
stop saying
served
put that
that
baby
little
in the
piece.
county?
Yeah, right. He did what he was supposed to do, and he had every right to return to regular school. Period. You can't be like, I'm not gonna let your son come to this school, because what other school can he go to? This is his school. And I'm like, and first of all, that's proprietary information. So he didn't have any right telling you that about him. He's a minor. So you're not even supposed to know that part about my son. And I don't have to be forthcoming to tell you something like that. That has nothing to do with his future. So that's why they wouldn't let him in there, because the ex hubby at that time was still the hubby, was going up there and negating everything that I was trying to set up for my son.
Mm,
And I'm like, why would
okay.
he even do that? Because
Okay.
even
So
though it
that's,
was terrible, I figured, well, I married this guy, so let me make this work. I knew it was
oh my
over then.
God.
So he came back. I had made it back to the house. And no, I had gotten off the phone with the guy, and he came back in through the door. Apparently, he had just left that school, because the guy called me right before he came back, because I was wondering where the hell he was going that early, because he didn't have work that morning. So when he came back through the door, he was trying to pretend that he didn't do anything or whatever. And I just went off, because I had been very calm, cool, collective, respectful. And that was it for me. And I was like, first of all, why would you go down there sharing stuff you don't even know anything about? You only know what I told you. And you're trying to prevent him from being in school. He'd have missed a whole week of school, and what is that about? And so then he lied and said he didn't. He don't know how they knew this, that, and the other. And then the guy called back from the school board. So I had him on the phone. He was like, no, sir, you did come down here. You did say this, that, and the other. That's how I got that information, from you. And
Ah.
so I knew I had to go. But we did. Well, we haven't gotten to the people time stuff. I'm going to get to that at the end. Let's talk about the people time stuff. Let's
Okay.
just say I moved there. We had a pretty nice apartment. It was empty as hell, but I was going to go on and, with my portion, when I started working, I was going to go on the furniture place. I don't have no problem finding furniture. I know how to shop. My son was on the floor. He ain't had no bed. And this man went and bought us a bed. And meanwhile, my son is on the floor. I feel horrible about that. What is my son doing
Mm-hmm.
on the floor? And you could say air mattress, but that's on the floor to me. That's not a
Right.
bed. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't come from
Mm-hmm.
being on the floor. Now he on the
Right.
floor.
Yeah.
And I had my stuff still in storage in the town that we moved from, and I was gonna go back and get it. So we would have had stuff, but it takes time to do all these things, and
Mm-hmm.
money. Okay, so it was just let's say our first night there. I'm gonna give y'all the R-rated version, not the X-rated version. But when we
Well,
got
we can
there,
take that. We'll take the X or whichever you feel
I'm gonna,
comfortable.
I'm gonna
But
go
we
R, because I don't have to go X.
okay.
So we there. It's our first night, and he calls himself gonna put some on the TV, I guess, to spice things up. Girl,
Mm-hmm.
I look at this doggone thing. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that you?
Ah,
Girl, there are women to this day that he done slept with, and they had no idea he was filming them.
wait a minute,
That
bitch.
freaked me out. And one lady looked and was like, wait a minute, is that a red light? Are you filming? He was like, no, no, I'm not. First of all, I said, why would you think that I want to watch you with another woman? That is weird. Why would you show me something like that?
Girl, you know my mouth is
And
wide open.
I ain't never in my life. I mean, something was terribly wrong with his psyche. And
Right.
to explain himself, he
Mm-hmm.
told me that when he was a little boy, his mama would let this woman babysit him. And the way the house was, she had a window above the like in the bathroom there was a window. So he would climb on like on the porch that was, I guess it was around the house or whatever. She had some furniture or something on the porch, and he would just climb up there and watch this woman taking a bath. So this fool been a peep. I said, so you a peeping Tom? He
Wait, and
basically
who
told me
was
that he
this?
had been doing stuff like that since he was 7.
Now, who was this that he was peeping in on at 7?
His babysitter.
His babysitter. My God.
Yep. Now what you know at 7 years old about looking in on a woman in the bathroom?
Now you know I already know what's going on with him. Now you know that now, right? I'm gonna
So
save it for the
something
end.
dark
Go
has
ahead.
happened to this dude.
Yeah, yeah. Well, come on now. Come on now.
And he just continued doing that over the years. He had been a peeping Tom, peeping through women's windows, taking pictures, filming them when they didn't know they were being watched through their windows. And then he would meet these ladies, and then he would, have relations with them and film them so you could go back and watch yourself and her. Now he wants to show me. I don't want to see that.
He wants to see if you
Then
were
he said,
down.
of course, you knew this was coming. Girl,
Hmm.
he set up a camera in our apartment so he could
Oh
see us
my.
going back and forth. Because he started thinking, well, because I stopped sleeping with him.
Hmm.
Well, I know you're going to be trying to sneak stuff in and out. I want to at all times know what's going on in my house. No, you're just trying to film stuff because that's what you used to do, you pervert.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was just weird. It was very weird. It was very uncomfortable. I ain't like it. I knew it was bad, and he wouldn't. I like to burn incense. I grew up like that. My mother,
Hmm.
we grew up Muslim actually, and so I mean, we always would, have the incense and the African stuff along with, my mother had an eclectic style, and it kind of reminded me of the movie Crooklyn. My mother had all kind of little collectibles and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and that just made me feel more at home. And so when I got older and started getting my own place, my design style was similar. And
Hmm.
he told me I couldn't have those African masks. That was voodoo. I couldn't burn no incense. That was voodoo. I said, do you even know what voodoo is? Hell, I don't
Hmm.
even know what voodoo is.
Hmm.
But ain't nothing with
Hmm.
burning the incense. I like the way it smells, and it just makes me closer with my mother because at that time my mother was way somewhere and I was way somewhere, and I
Hmm.
grew up very close to her all my life. So it was just home to me when I would just burn that, and I love having a looking like Africa in America type style look.
Right.
That
But
was
you
just
can't
my
anything.
design style.
Anything that you want to do is wrong, basically. Yeah. And
Everything was
he's gonna
wrong.
find something. So you find so that's one of the reasons why you jetted up out of New Orleans because you found out that he was a peeping Tom and he wanted to watch his old film.
That was one of the reasons he put his hands on me, and my son saved my life. So on that day when he came through the door and I realized he had came from the school I was trying to get my son to go to, and then he was lying and carrying on, he started acting out. He went and got a gun because he was one of his jobs as security guard. Y'all keep that in mind. He had to carry a gun. He must never cleaned it, his gun. So he went and got the gun, grabbed my son, and put the gun in my son's face. My son at the time was only 13 years old.
Oh my
And so
God.
he threatened to shoot my son in the face. And I'm like, why would you do that? He's a child, even though he's taller than you. He's a child. He's my child. And you're mad at him because I caught you in a lie? And you talking about, and he pulled the trigger.
Girl, no.
Oh, my child.
Oh
And when
my
I
God.
ran to grab this man away from my son, he picked me up. And you know where the two walls meet and you have that crease right there? Girl, he threw me into that and hurt my back. My back been hurting intermittently ever since. And my son picked that man up. Girl, his feet was about, I don't know how many inches off the floor. But he was like, no, no, no. And I had an audio recording of it. I still got it. I never listened to it though. Um, but he was telling him that, he don't care how mad he was, he should never put his hands on a woman. He said, I know I'm a child, but I know not to put my hands on a woman. Girl, that just breaks me up whenever I hear that. I haven't listened to that in years because I refuse to. It brings back too much pain.
That's too much pain. Yeah.
But some told me to record it. I didn't know he was going to do what he was doing. And at that time, he was telling me that he was going to shoot my son. He was telling me that he was going to, all he was going to do. And I didn't catch that part on the recording. I caught after the fact when I was just responding to what, so the cop couldn't tell when I called the police why I was saying what I was saying. And I couldn't get him to repeat himself, But yeah, that's why I ran. Because I said, there's nothing salvageable here. Nothing. And across the way from us was a French lady. She was from Canada. But she was a French lady, and the man, the bastard, went to work. And I remember I didn't know anybody there because we had just moved up there. And though I have a lot of family there, I didn't know anybody like that. And I didn't want my family to know any of that stuff was going on with me. That was embarrassing.
Understandable.
So I saw the lady all the time, and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am," whispering like, and I said, would y'all happen to, want a TV? Girl, I was giving stuff away. I said, because I'm leaving. He doesn't know that. She said, oh, but I thought you guys were so happy. And I'm like, I'm leaving, and I don't want him to have my television. But if y'all could, have it, here. And so she was like, well, where are you going to go? I said, well, we're just trying to wait to, get up out of here. I'm talking to my family, and somebody's on their way to come help out. But until then, I need to clear some of my belongings out of here because he was the bastard. That's all I call him now, y'all. He was all excited about basketball season about to start up. I said, I know I'm gonna fix him. I'm gonna get rid of this TV. He ain't gonna have no TV he can watch. He gonna have to go somewhere else to watch the doggone basketball. So I gave the TV away, and then the lady was so kind to talk to her husband. I didn't ask her to. I didn't even know she was doing that. And her husband came and knocked on my door, and I started not to open it because I saw some big white guy, and I'm like, oh Lord, what's going on here? He was like, I'm so and so. I don't even remember their names. She was like, I'm her husband. She told me what's happening. Y'all gonna come stay with us. And I'm like, what? Girl, that was it. We got our little stuff together, and he escorted us over to his place, and we hid out for a day and a half. At these people, they didn't know us from Adam. And he said, and wait, this was the funny part. He had 2 kids, and she didn't have any children. They had a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, whatever. It was really cute over there. Kind of find out he was a musician, and I do music too. I used to. I don't do it no more. But and he said, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want him to know that we're here, because he was going to take the next day was like a weekend. It was like a Saturday or something. He was like, I'm going to take your son with my kids. We're going bowling because we do something every weekend. And I said, oh my God, please be careful, because I don't know if he's home. I don't want him to look out the window and see that we're still here.
Right.
And he turned to me and said, I wish a nigga would. Bitch, that is the one and last time I ever let a person of non-color say something like that to me. But I felt him, because he was just he hated to hear about a man putting his hands on children and a woman. Huh?
But I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but and I'm not giving up. None of us are giving a pass for white people saying the N word, but New Orleans people are of a different ilk,
Girl, okay. And he was from Ohio. He was like from somewhere Midwest or something. But I think it was mutual. The way he felt, I knew where he was coming from when he said it. I wasn't offended because he didn't look at us that way. He saw us as 2 human beings who deserve respect and didn't get that. And that so-called man put a gun in my son's face and pulled the trigger. Thank God it did not go off and he killed my child. So he was burning. And the way his eyes were when he said it, and I did not argue with that man. So I hung out in their apartment that whole time, and his wife was so kind. She gave me some badass high heels, and I gave her one of my favorite badass pair of high heels. We were bonding. And I remember she came and said, oh, Kenna, well, he's home. I said, I don't care if he's home. Don't you want to come see him? Girl, when that man came back that night and saw that we was gone, because he thought I really didn't have nowhere to go.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
She told me he came running back out the apartment and looking all over the place immediately. Like, where did she go? He was in
Mm-hmm.
utter surprise that he came back and we were gone. The TV was
Mm-hmm.
gone. I did have some stuff like in the living room. I was like, well, just in case I could come back and grab that stuff. But it was like, oh, stuff I could get again when I moved.
After he pulled the gun, none of that material
After
stuff
he pulled
matters.
the gun,
Right.
I don't really want, and I told that cop what he did, and he was just treating it like it wasn't really as major as what it was. And he didn't arrest that man. He told him go on and go to work, and he told me I needed to find me somewhere to go. I said, this is my apartment too. Where am I supposed to go? Well, you need to leave. And I'm like, I don't think this is right. You're siding
Mm-hmm.
with him. Remember, I
Mm-hmm.
told y'all he was a security guard. When the officer got there, he was like, I'm an officer too. So the officer was like, oh, where'd you
Oh.
go to get your training? And he was like, well, he had to end up saying in the end, I'm a security guard. He said, oh, the officer, like, you trying to be one of us and you ain't one of us. And he failed the
Exactly.
mental exam.
Oh,
He
really?
couldn't be
Oh,
no
see?
doggone police officer because he failed the mental exam they give him. A wannabe. And when he looked at
Right.
me, I realized he was intimidated by me because
Mm-hmm.
I'm intelligent.
Mm-hmm. Very. And if they don't
And
know, we know each other in
and
real
I
life.
am
Yeah.
outspoken when it comes to things that I believe in. I
Yes,
don't
very much
talk
so.
back. I'm not a child. I'm an adult woman. So if I have something to say, I'm gonna say it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can't shush me up. Like, he had no idea what it was like to be a leader, a man, a husband, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
He just
Mm-hmm.
liked how it sounded, but he wasn't those
Right.
titles.
So
It
other
was
than, so you
horrible.
were with him for a total of about 9 months or so.
I would
Other
say
than,
so.
okay, not give or take 9 months. Other
Yeah.
than and I don't want to be so flippant, like other than, because the peeping Tom and the watching women that don't know that watching your
Hmm.
husband have sex with anybody else is just weird. But other than
That's
the
weird
watching,
and ugh.
it's gross.
Yeah.
Watching his own self-made porn, finding out he had been a peeping tom since the age of 7. Are there any, and
Mm.
then pulling a gun on your child, calling
Hmm.
the school so that you can't progress, because that's the other thing. They don't want you to progress in life. They want you to be
Mm.
stagnant without them. Are there any
Hmm.
other things that that you found out maybe during or later about him that were alarming?
Well, the cousin, I'll just
Oh
keep it
God.
general here, that
Okay.
I called uh, when it all happened, and the cop told me that we had to leave and I had nowhere to go, and they had no place for us to go. I called him, and the way I sound right now is how I normally sound, but I broke down and just started boo-hoo crying. And he was like, wait a minute, what's wrong? And I
Mm-hmm.
told him, not everything, but I told him what he had just done, and to me and to my son, and how I was in so much pain and how we had to leave and I didn't know where we was going to go. He said, you called me at a good time. What's your address? And so I gave him my address. And then he kind of found out he didn't even need my address to wire me some money. But he wired me some money, and my son and I was able to catch the train. And that's why we were hiding out at the neighbor's house. We were waiting to catch that train that I bought the tickets for, and it didn't
Okay.
leave until before dawn on Sunday morning,
Okay.
before daylight on Sunday morning. So, girl, he works for a government agency. Let's just put it that way. And I totally didn't even think about that before I called him. That's not why I called him. He was one of my favorite cousins. And let's just say, when I finally made it down here, I ran into his brother, and I told him what happened. He said, "Did you tell my brother that?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, he worked for the government, right?" And that's when it hit me. I was like, I didn't even put that together. He said, "You didn't give me your address, did you?" I said, "That's the first thing he asked for." And I gave it to him. He said, "Oh, he probably did, not he? Because he don't play no games." When it comes to, he said, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the women in the family, and he don't play no games
Right.
like that. A man abusing a
Right.
woman. He said, "But you told the right one, no. Now you give me his address because I'm going there tonight." And he was on his way moving back to New Orleans. He said, we got cousins and family on the force. Girl, I thought the man was dead because I didn't hear anything from him. Or if I called, because like when I first got here, I did call him because it was some stuff I needed. and he just stopped taking my calls. I thought he was dead. I was relieved that he wasn't dead, because I did get a chance to. I don't know how I got his. Did I call him? Anyway, but he gave me my divorce. He gave me no problems at all. But I know that if it wasn't for both of my cousins who are brothers going over there and doing whatever they did, I don't ask no questions. But I know my family's history. But I know what they're capable of. Any of us could be capable of stuff when we want to do it. I thought I was anyway, but I was glad I told that was the right cousin to call on too. Anyway, so he left me alone. I think he was scared out of his mind when he realized, oh Lord, not only is this woman smart and strong and she got away from me, but she really does have family that gives a D about her, and they came to see about me up from, to protect her and her son. So
and
anyway,
that's the other thing about hiding things from our family because we're embarrassed or we, are ashamed. But it's very difficult though, to when you're in that type of situation. But then after the fact that the brothers showed up and showed out, and because a person like that just doesn't leave you alone, right? They have to be.
They don't, and I found out that he had a history of assault. I'm not surprised. And
what kind of assault?
On women. He had beat some woman up and gave the police a false name. His name is similar to a store. I'm not going to give any hints or anything, but his name is similar to a popular store. So he flipped the name, and sometimes when police will ask him what his name is, he'll use that name. So it could be hard to find him. So I did a background search, which I should have did in the beginning, because that happened way before me. But that's where I saw, oh my Lord, because it had his birthday, but the name that ain't his name. His name is whatever with a different initial and the last name. And I saw that's what he got, because he had told me about something like that. He told me a little bit about it, but he of course made it sound like it wasn't as bad as when I read the police report. I'm like, oh my God, he did what? But I'm not surprised. Look at what he did to me. If a man could put his hand on a woman, he got some deeply rooted issues. And that is nothing a woman can do to fix it. That's an inside job. He got to fix that. He first got to acknowledge that he has the problem to begin with in order to fix it. And so I would say, oh my God, after that, I didn't date for years. I would look at a man. I wouldn't even look at a man. If a man looked like he was thinking about looking at me, it was like, because I just had to heal. And I healed with my legs closed.
Hallelujah.
Because I felt that if I allowed myself to keep that portion of me open, I would never get to knowing what that man's intentions really are, because I would have, clouded his whole intentions, because that would have been a distraction. And I wanted to take that off the table. And it actually was easy to do, because once you take that off the table, once I made that, let's speak for myself, because everybody's different. What it takes for you could be totally different than what it took for me. So, but when I took that off the table and the guy knew, okay, that ain't what she about, it's like they were actually more interested, but I just wasn't trying to date and let no man in. I had to just get to reacquainted with my family, reacquainted with myself. I really took myself out. I went to the movies by myself, or, if nobody else could come with me or whatever, I had no problem going by myself. I lived near a state park, and I would go walking and enjoying the mountains and the trees and just nature. And it just felt like it was healing and all that type of stuff. So, I had to relearn how to love myself. And it's still a battle every now and again. I get down, but I will never get that down again. I just won't. I just made different choices, because sometimes we don't realize how we open that door and let him in. I used to post stuff before I met this animal. I used to post stuff about what I wanted for in a man. Now, if I want certain things in a man, let me put it in my diary. Don't put it on social media. You don't know what wolves are looking at that. You don't know who your so-called friends are. You don't really know who these people are. Even the people you grew up with. that you think you know. You don't really know folks. And I watch too much ID channel. That don't help either. But I
Right.
learned when I said at the beginning that I really blame myself. I fought myself for falling and jumping so fast because I gave them the playbook. This is what
Yeah.
it's going to take. Because when we met that day, I gave him my Facebook with my real
Hmm.
name. And he
Right.
had his real name on there too. But
Well, we
only
all
all
were
you had
on
to do was go
Facebook.
back.
Yeah,
What'd
we
you
were all
say?
on Facebook. I said we were all
Girl,
on
we were
Facebook.
so
We're all on
silly.
Facebook with
We
our
didn't even
real
realize
name.
how open we were
Mhm. Mhm.
to predators. If they want to be a predator to you, I
Mhm.
made it
Mhm.
easy. This is who I am. This is what I want. I don't want that. And if I see this, I'm going to do that. And I put it all out there. And
Yeah.
then now he had the appearance of being who I thought I wanted in a man. It was
Mhm.
easy. I told him what I was looking for. I don't do stuff
Mhm.
like that anymore. Now I got a wonderful husband, a wonderful, healthy relationship, a healthy marriage.
That's what I wanted them to know. I know you got to go fix your mom's TV. We've been talking for about an hour.
Hmm.
I want you, so you were single, courted yourself for what, about 3 years?
3 years.
And then so how did you meet this wonderful man that you've been married to now for, I think you guys just had your year anniversary, right?
Yeah, at work. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we met at work. I actually had met him before and didn't realize I had met him before. We had taken a similar training for a job. The job ended up keeping me and let everybody else go. Me and a few others, and then they let everybody else go. He was one of those that they let go. And then one day I was at work on my lunch break, and I saw this guy, and I'm like, oh, I ain't never seen him before. Who is that? I slick
Right.
stopped him.
Right.
I got out my car. I'm like, I gotta see where this guy going, So I went and jumped on the elevator, and I saw him get off on my floor, and I'm like, he getting off on my floor. Oh, he's going to the left. I go to the left, and we have a secure door that we have to go through. It takes a key card to get through that, and he had one. I'm like, who
Mhm.
is this guy? He works for me, and I didn't even know he was there. Then he ended up uh, coming down and moving his desk on the other side of my cubicle. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me get to know him. And he looked real young. My husband looked real young for his age, but he close to
Okay,
me, but he just
okay.
looked real
Oh,
young.
okay, I'm about to say we ain't need. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so
So
I
then
got
you
to know him, and
find
I thought he
out.
was a young man, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
he old enough. And
Mhm. Mhm.
we went to go see Black Panther, and we thought co-workers and us was going. They all backed out, and we went by ourselves. I said, y'all ain't funny. I know what y'all did us. They made us go by ourselves, but we,
That's too
because
cute.
one of them knew I liked them. Well, two of them knew I liked them. So, and if you tell two,
Mhm.
everybody on our little side gonna know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and then it just developed from there, and that, it was another thing. We were both on the same page. He had been abstinent for 3 years too when he met me. And I'm like,
Mm.
what? So that I was really curious about that. And then that was off the table from the jump. So we really took time to know each other. 2 years to know each other, go out, have a good time. And we went out of town. We did a lot of stuff. And we just had a
Mhm.
really good, healthy, organic time. I had never really allowed myself a chance to not rush. I kind of wanted to rush a little bit, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't budge.
Mhm.
He saw the
Mhm.
big picture, and he knew he wanted to make sure that he was sure. And I'm glad I was determined that he was the one for me, and I waited. And
Mhm.
he finally we finally got married 2 years later. So it was awesome, but it
That
pays to
is
wait.
that is a great story after so much turmoil, because I'll tell you,
Hmm.
I found in my, dealings with a lot of women on Facebook, because I was doing a lot of feminine energy versus masculine energy talks. And
Mm.
I told the people that the groups that we were in were all
Mm.
relationship based,
They were.
heterosexual, yeah, relationship based groups, which caused for
Hmm.
a lot of deep conversation, because we had both heterosexual men and heterosexual women in there, and a lot of outspoken people. I mean, they would just,
Yes, there were.
very much So outspoken people. So I
Yep.
tell the story that when I came over here, I did not realize that people weren't able to agree to disagree because we did it all day, every day.
All day, every day.
You know.
And laughed.
Oh, we laughed, honey. Did we
We
not laugh,
laughed
honey?
so
We laughed.
much. We didn't take ourselves too seriously.
We just
It was
didn't.
my morning cup of coffee. I would get up
That
and run to that group before I started just to see what I missed.
what's happening, what's Papa lacking, okay? Because we know these fools have started some kind of shenanigans,
Oh
and
my
it would
God.
be some deep, deep conversations, but we
It
were
would.
still laughing about it, you know? And
Yep.
so, one of the things that I found in those groups and is that a lot of people are so set in their ways, and a lot of people do
Mm-hmm.
not allow themselves to move on. And so I
Oh
just
my
want to say,
God.
girl. And
And
I
you
just
know,
want
it
to,
was helpful in the group because I was looking at some patterns and
mm-hmm.
I made determinations because I was going through hell at that time. I was
Yes,
still
yes.
just, because I had just left mine like a year or so before I joined that group. And I was in my healing process, but I saw a lot of patterns too, how a lot of people they were just hurt, but they didn't let stuff go. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to do this, I got to first acknowledge that where I'm heading is better than where I am now. And I
Hallelujah.
also have to be open. I have to be open to do things that may be a little different than what I was used to, but why not try something different? That's how
Why
you
not try?
grow. You can't
That's how.
stunt your growth.
That's it. And I'm so proud of you. I am so immensely proud of you
Whew,
because
thank you.
so many people get stuck. That was a very traumatic experience. And then for your baby to be involved
Oh, girl,
have
that was
stifled.
terrifying
It was
because
terrible.
and the way he was trying to defend me like that.
Oh, girl, don't
And
start that
when we
now.
talk about it now, it really hurts me that he never established a positive black male role model situation in his life while he was growing up. He's an adult now, and he just says, you know what, Mama, one day I'm going to be a father, and I'm going
Hmm.
to be a mentor, and I'm never going to mistreat children, and I'm never
Hmm.
going to not make myself available if I can help it when a child is in need. If they don't
Yeah.
have a father, I'll be their positive role model. That's what I take away from
Yes.
our situation. And I
Yes.
just hugged him. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a testament to the kind of mother that you have been, the other people in his
Mm-hmm.
village. I mean, one person should not have the power to turn a good child bad, right? And so
Ooh,
I just want I think you're crying now because it is a release.
ooh,
It is a
girl,
release
yeah.
of energy to say, you know what, I made it out. Oh my God. Thank you so
It's
much.
funny now, but it was scary then. I didn't
It's
know where
scary
to
now.
turn.
Shit to us. It's scary now. Hell, you
This
talking about me.
is, ooh,
It was horrible. And I'm just so
yes, it
very
was.
proud of you because it's so easy for people to get stuck. And I hear so
Mm-hmm.
many people say, I'm okay being single for the rest of my life. That's
I don't
nothing but a
want to be
defense.
single. I don't
I don't
think we
want
were
to be
meant to be by
single.
ourselves.
We're not. We're not. God tells us that. He wrote a book
Mm.
for us, and it says it. That's in your Quran. That's in my
Yep.
Bible. That's in the
Yep.
Hindus. That's in the Buddhists. It tells you.
Mm-hmm.
No religious scripture says script. I should say script says that we are not supposed to be joined together. It's clear.
Exactly.
The reason why people say they don't want anybody is because they either A, can't get anybody without changing, or they're not willing to change to get somebody.
Exactly. Or they're hurt, they're traumatized. A lot of that. That'll stop you from living. But I don't want to stop living.
Hallelujah. We wants to
I don't
live,
want to
honey.
stop living. God didn't put me on this earth to just be by myself. And who in the world am I supposed to help if I'm over here being a recluse? And that'll
Hmm.
make me bitter. I don't want to be bitter. I'm too cute to be bitter.
Too cute. Baby. Baby, if they knew how cute we was, honey. Baby. Okay. Too cute, too joyful,
Yes.
too too much to offer to society, to be a recluse, to be by
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, and to not be have a joyous spirit and live within that and to spread it. I want to
Mm.
thank you so much. I know you were like, what in the
Thank you for
hell is
having me.
this has been such a blessing. And I know you were like, what the hell is you doing on YouTube? And what the hell you want
I
me
was a
to
little
do? So
nervous. I'm like, oh, let me just talk like we on the phone.
that's it. That's it. That's it. And that's what we did. And as you can see, we've had about 40 or so people that have stayed tuned. They were intrigued by your story. I think they were very pleased that the outcome was such a pleasing and joyous outcome. And I expect for many more people to see this live and to gain something from it. So I just really, really thank you, Beretta Jane. And hey, I don't know
You're
who
welcome.
just sent me that Cash App, but thank you, baby. I appreciate it. I wanted to tell the people that I will be spending these Cash Apps on buying equipment, girl. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
For me being a content creator is something else. I'm like, oh, there's some stuff that I need. So thank you guys for supporting the Sassy Show. Beretta, you will definitely have to become like a recurring guest because I think the
All
people
righty.
have
You
thoroughly
got my
enjoyed you.
number.
I gotcha. Well, in more ways than not, okay?
Yes, you do. Only you
All
would
right.
catch all that.
I knew,
All
girl.
right.
You're
Take
right.
care. Bye
Smooches. All right.
bye.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Make sure I know this is your first. Oh, no. She knew how to do. Child, I ain't got to show my friends how to get off StreamYard or nothing. Oh, my gosh, you guys. Wasn't Beretta Jane? You guys, I wish I need some hand claps. That was so awesome. Ooh, I didn't cry to the end, but I don't think y'all heard me. I'm okay. I'm not ashamed of crying. But they were tears of joy kind of me and tears of sadness. I know when she started talking about her son, that was going to be heartfelt. But thank you guys so much for listening. I know this is a little bit different, but that's what we're going to be doing over here. We're going to be doing a little bit different, and we're going to be all about people. Everything that makes people tick and talk and cry and laugh and joyous and triumphant stories, trials and tribulations. So thank you so much for all the replay watchers. Please like the video on your way out if you did not like it on your way in. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, commenting. Thank you for everybody for sharing the video. My next live will be probably posted either tomorrow or Monday. I think you guys will enjoy that too. I have another live guest scheduled, a couple more live guests. I think I do. I think my niche might be live guests because I know a lot of interesting people, and luckily they have agreed to come on and share their stories with you guys. So thank you guys. This is my first time not being able to mention you guys by name, but you guys know I will see you on these streets, and I just love each and every one of you guys for always supporting me and showing up for the Sassy Show. So we're gonna get out of here. I think I'm gonna play a little rap song because I was gonna play my intro, but me and Beretta enjoy rap. So it's just not really rap, but it is a banger. So we'll enjoy this on our way out. If you guys can say your goodbyes to each other, and I'll see y'all later. Thanks again for joining me on the Sassy Show.